Taking your time out. The Moxie Women's Foundation has been, oh, we have one more coming in. Hello, we're just getting started. So the Moxie Women's Foundation has been trying to put on workshops at least once a month. Today we have Patty from Rise and Half Moon. She's going to talk about medical marijuana, how it can help different symptoms, and THC and CBD, what they do and how they help. Thank you very much, Patty, for coming today, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. So I kind of broke it down based on the slides or the poster you sent out yesterday, but some of it kind of blends together. So I'm going to try to stop kind of after each section to see if anyone has questions or if there's anything I can explain further for anybody. The first part that I kind of wanted to talk about was just becoming a patient. That's kind of, I think, where it gets a little lost in the process. Some doctors, your primary doctor, are really open to talk about it, and if they don't do it, they're willing to send you to somebody who does. But we've also heard from patients who say that their primary doctors kind of weren't really talking about it, or they were a little hesitant, so they didn't know where to go to find somebody to get certified. The process is getting a lot easier. There are a lot more certifying practitioners, so I do suggest starting with talking with your primary, just because, like I said, depending on the condition that you're looking to treat, they might have somebody to send you to, or they might, in fact, be doing it now themselves. My primary switched over about a year ago and started certifying, so that was really nice. The benefits of going through your primary is oftentimes the price is a little bit more affordable. There is usually a certification when it comes to becoming a patient, but that's really up to the doctor. We have heard that some are a little bit on the higher side, but that's the benefit of kind of talking to your primary, because most of the time they'll send you to somebody who's a little bit more affordable, or in my case, I lucked out in my primary, charged for my copay. But once you find that practitioner, we also do have a list on our website as well as the New York State website, which has a list of practitioners. There's also Google's your best friend. There's some really great online options. With COVID, a lot of people don't really want to go into the offices. Their offices are really backed up. So there's some really great online options where they'll set you up with a doctor virtually, kind of like what they're doing. They'll go over your symptoms. Sometimes they do need paperwork from your doctor. Sometimes they don't, depending. And then they'll send everything right over the through email for you. So that's a little bit more convenient, and we've seen a lot more people using the online route to get certified, just because of the convenience of it and not having to wait so long to get in to see somebody. Once you get that certification from the doctor, there is a little bit of work that needs to be done. So everything goes through the New York State site. Once you get certified, you either have to bring New York State login, or if you're under DMV, or if you've ever gotten any type of state benefit, you can log right in through there. There is another section on there called Health. It's the health reports, so you go to that, and once you go into that section, it walks you through the medical marijuana process. So it's going to ask you to enter the numbers the doctor sent you. Once you put in your name, your information, and that number, it kind of auto-populates everything, and you just finish off the process, which can be a little daunting to some, people who aren't as tech savvy. So it's something that if you struggle with that, we can help you. We can help you out in our store. I don't know if the other dispensaries are doing so much hands-on, but we definitely do that here at our dispensary. We help a lot of people, especially, like I said, people who aren't quite tech savvy. Because once you go through that, you actually are issued a temporary card. And with that temporary card, you can come in and start shopping for your medication until they mail you your permanent card. That is basically the gist of how to become a patient. Are there any questions about that process?
It doesn't seem like it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I can't see anybody, so
Yeah, no,
don't raise your hand, because that won't be effective.
I'll moderate.
Alright, so once you become certified, and if you are very new to medicinal cannabis, we do recommend that you come on down and you schedule a consultation with one of our pharmacists. Even if you're somebody who uses marijuana recreationally, or maybe you have been using it for self-medication purposes and you've gone to Massachusetts, things like that. The benefit of still having a pharmacist consultation is just that things are a little bit different in New York. We have different products, we have some different ratios, things like that. So you still do benefit from sitting down and talking with a pharmacist, just to kind of go over the differences. Oftentimes too, if you're somebody who has been using recreationally or like that, we can kind of guide you in the right direction so that you're not, wasting your money on things. It's a very expensive medication that insurance unfortunately does not cover. So we definitely want to make sure that people are getting things that are going to help them and make their condition a little bit better. So once you come on down, we, like I said, we would sit you down with a pharmacist typically, or if you are somebody who has used and meet with just one of the PCSs, that's what I do, and we go over the different product that we offer. So that's what I'm going to kind of talk about next, is the product that we offer. So when you first walk into our center, we do a lot of over-the-counter type CBD products. These are probably the things we sell the least of, just because these are the products you can typically get at like a CBD shop or even online and mail to you. But we carry them and we do still offer them to patients because they still do offer a lot of benefits. CBD is really great if you take it consistently over time and you let it build up. It's not something that's going to necessarily give you instant relief a lot of times. But again, if you let it build up in your system. So, for example, someone who has seizures or they're trying to treat inflammation, if we give them a higher CBD product and they take the multivitamin, they're going to start to see the benefits of that CBD probably after like 2 to 3 weeks of consistent use. I'm carrying a really great line of head CBD product, and I started using our tincture with the dog and the wonders for her arthritis and black legs. But again, it took me putting it on her food for probably about 2 to 3 weeks to see that difference. We do have high CBD product in store that they have more THC than what you would find in an over-the-counter product. What the benefits of that is going to give that flexibility to build up your CBD intake, but it's going to give them more of the entourage effect. As when you have THC and work together, you do benefit a bit more with those two. Like I said, the entourage effect kind of takes over, and they work together to kind of create a little bit more relief in a lot of areas. We have high CBD products, we have equal CBD and THC products that will, they'll again create that entourage effect. What the benefit of that really is if you have somebody who is needing kind of that instant relief that CBD doesn't offer, the THC kind of steps in and will take over, but the CBD works together to kind of take away some of those psychoactive effects, which is really nice. Because a lot of people will come in and they'll tell us that they're, I'm terrified of trying this, I don't want to get high, I don't want to feel like I can't function or go to work or do the things I have to do. So the equal CBD ratio is something that we often recommend to patients because they'll get those benefits of the THC, but not feel that kind of loopy high feeling. CBD is really great in the sense that it will actually take away the psychoactive effects of THC. That's something that I didn't know until I started working here actually. So a lot of times our pharmacists will recommend a high CBD product with a THC product just in case we have somebody who kind of overdoes it and they need to come back down from that high that they're feeling. The last kind of category as far as ratios goes is our high THC products. Again, THC is really going to be your go-to for quick relief on a lot of conditions, especially chronic pain, sleep issues, things like that. Those are the things that, you can't really wait those 2 to 3 weeks for the CBD and everything to build up. You need that relief pretty instantaneously. Also, we'll recommend high THC products to people who do have a higher tolerance. Typically, people will come in and they'll say, oh, well, I have a really high tolerance to pain medications that I've been on or I've been taking. It's very different with medical marijuana. Your tolerance to those pain medications is not going to necessarily dictate your tolerance to THC. And that's something that our pharmacists really try to go over with people because we don't want them necessarily to just come in and start with a high THC product if that's not really what they need or what is going to benefit them the most. We would prefer to kind of start them out low and slow and build up so that maybe they don't build such a high tolerance like they did with their other medications. With those ratios that I just kind of went over, we have several different product lines, which is really great because a lot of people will come into our dispensary kind of cannabis naive and think that, medical marijuana is just smoking a joint. And that is actually the opposite of what it is. We can't even recommend that people smoke their marijuana. Everything's intended to be vaporized if it is going to be an inhalation product. New York is really strict about that. They feel that vaping is the healthier way to inhale the product. And they also feel that you get more of the benefits from the product by vaporizing it versus combusting it. So to kind of go through those products, so the first one I just mentioned was our inhalation products. So that includes our vaporizers. A lot of people will come in very adamant that they don't want an inhalation product because they've seen things on the news, they've heard, kind of some negatives about vapes and things like that. That's fine. We don't necessarily want to push people right into inhalation products, but we do want to educate and explain that the things that most people saw on the news were black market vapes, things that people were making in their kitchens, thinking that they were adding flavoring and kind of making them better, but really they were adding oils and kind of ingredients that weren't intended to be heated and vaporized. So that created kind of that whirlwind of negativity around vaporization. Again, if somebody's adamant that they don't want it, fine, but the benefits of an inhalation product is it is really going to be that product that gets you the relief the quickest. Typically, once you take an inhalation of one of the products, it's going to take maybe, anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes for you to really feel those effects. It gives you a little bit of control because you know when it's going to kick in a little bit more than, say, a consumable product, and you can take 2 to 3 inhalations because they're not going to last as long as some of our consumable products will in your system. So we definitely will explain that to people when they come in, even if they are adamant against it, just because we want them to keep that on the back burner in case they aren't finding the relief that they're hoping for from some of our other product lines. In the category of the inhalation products, we also have now, we have ground flower, which we've had for a little while. It's basically just how it sounds. It's flower that the manufacturer has already pre-ground up so that you can put it right into your handheld vaporizer or your tabletop vaporizer. But then they now just started allowing us to carry whole flower, which is really nice because a lot of people do prefer to pick their grind size, and some people, for myself, it's therapeutic to grind up your own flour, I don't know. But they did start allowing us to carry that, which we've now seen a lot of variety and strain variances, which I'll kind of go over strains and the difference in those in a moment. But the last product in our inhalation category is our concentrates, which come in a syringe actually, and they are intended also to be vaporized. They are a little bit more potent because of the concentration level. So again, for people with severe pain or people with higher tolerances, we'll recommend the concentrates. They're a little bit harder to use because a little bit more work goes into using them. You have to warm them up and then transfer them into a concentrate vaporizer. So I wouldn't say they're one of our more popular items, but they're definitely great for different reasons. The next category of products that we offer are consumables. I kind of grouped all of our consumables into this category just because it's a little easier, I think, when explaining it. But our edibles, kind of that New York State doesn't allow edibles, but the things that people come in kind of considering edibles would be our soft chews. They're like a gummy texture. They come in 2 different milligram amounts, and really a lot of people like them because they are a little bit better flavored than some of our products. They're a little bit more discreet. You can kind of just pop one in. Nobody knows what you're doing. It's not like you're not going to see the vaporization of the smoke. And the benefit of a consumable is that it's going to take a little bit longer to kick in, so you might not feel it for 30 minutes to an hour. But once you do get it into your system, it's going to stay in your system for the 4 to 6 hour range versus that vaporizer or that inhalation product that I mentioned. That's going to kick in 5 to 10 minutes, but it's going to only last about an hour in your system. These products all can be used together. That's something too that we do explain to people, is that you're not obligated to pick one thing. You don't have to come in and say, well, I guess I'll try the soft chews and see if it works. You can mix and match. A lot of this is going to be trial and error for many people because what works for one might not work for the other. So you are able to mix and match a lot of times too with a consumable product because it does take so long to kick in. Someone, for example, who's suffering from chronic pain, we would recommend, you can take one to do inhalations of your vape to kind of give you that instant relief while you're waiting for your consumable product to kick in to give you that long-term relief or maybe the overnight relief that you're looking for. So under the consumable product line, again with soft chews, we also have dissolvable powders which go into basically any beverage that's not carbonated. You can mix it with coffee, with tea. Some people mix it with peanut butter and put it on a cracker. It is already activated, so really anything you mix it with is totally fine. The really great thing about this powder is it kind of crosses over into the sublingual category as well as the consumable category, just because you really start to get it into your system as soon as it enters your mouth. It goes into your salivatory glands, and you start to get the effects of it a little bit quicker than you would a capsule or a tablet or a soft chew. You really start to feel those effects much quicker, but it gives you the benefit of lasting that longer term, the 5 to 6 hour range really. And a lot of people with our dissolvable powders have reported too that they feel like it kind of gives them that baseline that they need, so that if they are using other products in addition, they need to take 1 or 2 inhalations of their vaporizer and they're getting that relief and it's lasting a long time. So again, people are really using them together to try to get the perfect combination of relief that they need. Tablets and capsules are pretty popular as well, especially for people who are wanting to kind of be a little bit more discreet. They're, a lot of, I think, our elderly patients find the tablets and capsules to be a little easier because they can just mix it in with their other medication regimen and just, take the capsule with their nighttime meds and then in the morning. Because we offer those ratios that I discussed earlier, we really can give people kind of all-day relief without them feeling that high effect that they're not wanting during the day. So oftentimes, we might give somebody a high THC capsule at night to help them with sleep, and that THC is really going to, kind of give them the relief they want, from pain, from sleep, whatever it is they're looking for. But then during the day, they'll switch it over to our equal THC CBD product so that they're still getting that relief, but they're not feeling that, sleepy high effect from it. We also recently, this is a kind of cool product just to mention, we got this sublingual product that is a little different from our tinctures. Most of our tinctures you put under your tongue. You hold them there for 20 to 30 seconds, and they take usually 20 to 30 minutes to kick in and feel the relief and the effects from. But we did recently get a nanotechnology product that kind of falls into that sublingual category. And what the benefit of that is it's going to give people the instant relief, like a vape does, without having to inhale the product. So basically, it comes in a little bottle. It looks like those little squeeze bottles that you, or the little Mio bottles that you add to your water, and that's exactly what it looks like. It's a flavoring that you add to your drink. And because of the technology in it, like I said, it works very quickly. It's a very quick onset to give people that relief without having to resort to inhaling products. Another area that we have of products offered that are really popular are topicals. We do offer the high CBD topicals, but again, CBD you have to use over time. We've recently started carrying high THC topicals, which have been really great. We do a balm and a lotion. The balm is a little bit thicker, so it's really good for areas like ribs or sternum, back, things like that, where you're not going to be kind of like rubbing up against it too much. And you can kind of let it sit on there because it doesn't absorb as quickly as our lotion does, so it gives you a little bit, I think, longer relief. Or if you have a deeper pain or pain in an area, that you can't really let the balm sit on, we have a lotion that absorbs really nice and quick into the skin and really hits that relief point pretty quickly. The nice thing about both of these topicals are you're not going to, and I say this, I use this lightly, you're not going to because everybody's different, but most people do not report feeling any psychoactive effects from our high THC topicals because that THC is really absorbing into the skin and going to the source of pain and not necessarily, you're not using enough of it to get you high or to give you any type of psychoactive effects. I think it would be a little different if you were maybe using it in like maybe a neck area or areas where you have, a little bit more blood flow. But at least, everything that we've had from patient reports and personal use, it doesn't get you high, it just gives you that relief. It's been really great. The topicals have been really great for a lot of our patients who kind of lost faith in some CBD topicals, people who have tried over-the-counter stuff and, never thought it worked or thought that it worked for a little while and then had stopped working. They're coming in, they're finding that our high THC stuff is working every time. I even got so desperate one time that I used it for a toothache, and it was incredible. It didn't taste great, but it really helped to get to the source of the pain and help at least give me some relief with that. Before I go into kind of the difference in like the strains as far as they relate to like the products offered, does anyone have any questions about like the ratios or some of these products?
No.
I actually do. I just want to verify what you had said earlier about like the vaping versus the edibles. You're saying that the edibles actually will have a longer lasting effect than vaping?
Yeah, oftentimes patients will report that a consumable or an edible product will stay with them a little bit longer. The only kind of downside to some consumables, and again, this is patient specific, is that some consumables, depending on how the person metabolizes things, it doesn't always work as effective as we would hope or as the patient would hope. So, for example, I'm one of those people that, if I try one of our gummies, by the time my body metabolizes it, I'm probably not actually getting the full 10 milligrams of THC. So, I don't necessarily feel those effects like everyone else does, which can be a little bit frustrating when you're trying to, treat certain conditions, or you're trying to get certain relief. It's a little bit frustrating. Like I said, this stuff is a bit expensive. So, we just try to, remind people to be patient with that. But the consumable products tend to give you a little bit longer relief for sure.
Thank you.
Chloe had another good question that I'm just going to shout out because I answered it for her on the DL. But we carry ground and whole flower, and we're not supposed to recommend you smoke it, but we do carry vaporizers for it.
Why though?
So in New York, actually, Patty, you answer that question. Why can't we combust? Thou shall not combust.
Because New York feels that vaporizing flower gives you more of the benefits, the medicinal benefits, because it pulls the THC and all of the terpenes from the flower instead of just burning it. So you are actually getting more of like the terpene profile from your flower by vaporizing it versus combusting it. And also it's research has shown that it's supposed to be better on your lungs and your respiratory system.
So I'm gonna ask a question also. I don't understand what it is to vaporize flour.
I use,
I mean, like, how does, I don't understand.
It's like if you're.
So it actually, so basically, we sell several handheld vaporizers in store. When vaporizing flower kind of first became a thing, a lot of people were like going for those like tabletop vaporizers. They're called like volcanoes. And it's basically an oven, no matter which form you have it, a tabletop or the handheld. The handheld ones are like little handheld ovens. You put the flour into either the bottom or the top, depending on which one you have. It heats it up to a really high temperature where it pulls it out without actually burning it. And then once you're done with the flour, like once it's gone, you still actually have the flour in there. It just you'll see the difference in it brown. So your once green flour is going to be very dry and very brown, almost like tobacco feeling. And then that would be garbage. You throw that away, and we wouldn't really have any benefits of using that after because you've pulled all of the THC and the terpenes out of it.
Okay, so is it, I feel like it would be maybe not, like, it doesn't go as far vaporizing it as it would combusting it, because it feels like maybe not.
You actually save flour. You do save the flour by vaporizing it because you don't need as much. So the handheld vaporizers that we sell, the one that I have at least, you would maybe use 1 or 2 pinches of the ground flour in that, and then that's usually good for probably, I would say 8 to 12 inhalations, depending on obviously how big your inhalations are. So that's typically a little bit more than you would get out of like if you were combusting it or putting it into like a bowl or something like that.
Interesting.
I also need to point out, because I confused the ever-loving hell out of Kate one time by using the term flour. She thought it was actually like baking flour consistency, where what we're trying to say is it's the actual nuts, like the bud that you get from the plant. For whoever watches this and thinks it's flour that you bake with, it's not. It's just New York State term for butter.
That makes sense, because I really thought you were talking
A lot of people do. It never clicked in my head, but a lot of people think it's like a flour consistency.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's actual nuts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Alright.
Alright, any other questions before I kind of go on a little bit more with the products?
No, I don't think so.
So just to kind of touch a little bit more, we talked about the ratios and the products. But what goes with kind of both of those is strains, which confuse a lot of people. So I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. But strains you'll hear us talk about in the dispensary, there's 3 main strains. There's indicas, there's sativas, and there's hybrids. So an indica is going to be, the best way to remember it, indica couch. It's going to be what we, suggest to people for sleep-related issues. A lot of times it's going to be our best friend for pain relief. Anything, severe PTSD, things like that, because it's going to give, any indica strain is going to really give that person a full body high. Meaning it's going to give them that full body relaxation effect, full body relief, and like I said, a lot of them are reporting that it will help them, fall asleep, or at least gets them to the state of being relaxed enough to fall asleep. Sativa is the opposite end of the spectrum. Sativa strains are going to amp you up a little bit. They're gonna give you energy, focus, motivation a lot of times. But they can be a little bit dangerous if you're somebody with anxiety. When I was using recreationally, I would have no idea. I would get one strain and I would be fine and everything would be great. And then I would smoke another strain and all of a sudden everybody was a cop and I was paranoid out of my mind. It's because I was probably getting a straight sativa and that was kind of amping up my anxiety instead of helping it. And it wasn't a really pleasant experience for me. So we do kind of give a warning label with some of our more intense sativas that, use them in moderation if you are somebody who does have anxiety, because it definitely can amp that up. Hybrids, they fall right in the middle. So they're going to give you kind of an equal body relaxation effect, as well as like that head motivation kind of high. Hybrids are really great for daytime use as well, or even later kind of in the day. I tend to use them, after I've just gotten home, I'm not ready for bed, but I need a little bit more relief to kind of just calm me down. So hybrid strains are really great because they give you a little bit of both worlds. Hybrids are also great for people who do have the anxiety, where maybe it is preventing them from getting the benefits of the sativa strains. But they don't want something that's going to put them, into that couch lock feeling or that couch lock effect. We do find, at least so far in New York State, that we are getting most of our strain variants in our inhalation products, just because we don't have a huge market yet for like edibles or consumables or anything like that. So typically the stuff that they send us in our consumable markets tend to just be labeled as hybrid, and really the only way we kind of judge which way they lean is based on patient feedback or personal review from our staff and things like that. But typically they are labeled as hybrid. So that kind of goes back to the benefits of, really recommending inhalable products to people, is just because we have so much strain variants and strain options. Because into those three categories that I mentioned, the sativa, the indica, and the hybrid, there are several strains in each category. So for example, right now we have, I'm just going to go, with flower. In flower we have, say 10 different indica strains. And what that means is those are 10 different types of plants, and each strain has different benefits. So like I mentioned, most indicas are going to give you that relaxation, that, that full body high and full body effect. But not all of them are going to give you that couch lock or put you to sleep effect. Some are going to, we have one strain right now that gives you that body kind of relaxation, but still stimulates your mind and helps you with being creative, and kind of still that thought-provoking, which is good because, people who are suffering from, depression or things like that, they don't want something that's just going to lock them to their couch and they're not going to, be able to move or function or do anything. But they might still need, some help with sleep or relaxation and things like that. So by us having all these different strains in each category, it really allows us to pinpoint and treat exactly what that person is looking to treat. Once people find their preferred strain, they usually try to stick to it, just because it does offer that sense of relief and that sense, of, it's nice to know what you're getting every time, because people who, were using recreationally before, or even going, across the state and stuff, it's not as regulated as it is here. So here, you're getting the same thing every time. So if you found that product that's giving you that relief, they tend to try to stick to it, or the strain that's giving them the relief. Some of the sativa strains that we will sell, again, difference in sativas, like I said, with anxiety versus the relief, is that you will often with sativa, if we kind of find one that leans a little bit more hybrid, you can get that motivation, you can get that focus that the sativa offers without giving you, those heart palpitations from anxiety. So again, these are all the things that we would go over with you in a consultation. New York State is really weird and they don't let us yet advertise the strains. Like if you look on our website, you're gonna see these 3-letter acronyms that drive people crazy because nobody really knows what they are. We're hoping that's gonna change soon, now that things are progressing a little bit, just because New York saw it as us advertising the strains made it more recreational, but I completely disagree with that because, like I said, there's a very big difference between one sativa versus another. I know that, for example, our caffeine is exactly how it sounds, and I'm gonna be ready to run a marathon if I use that, versus we have one sativa that's called Durban Thai that is better than, you know, any type of focus or ADHD medication I've ever taken as far as getting things done and concentrating and kind of having that motivation. Knowing that and being able to explain that to people, I think, is all the difference in the world. So I am hoping that New York State really changes that soon, because it's going to help a lot of people to maybe not be so scared of trying different things, or like I said, I would have never tried a sativa again until I came here and learned those things. So I'm hoping those are gonna change soon, those rules. But that's basically what I had as far as everything that I was gonna go over. Like I said, I kind of lumped some of the things in as far as like the things that we've been treating with the different products or the different ratios and stuff like that. So if there's anything that like I missed or there was something that people wanted me to go over, let me know.
Patty, just for,
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
just for somebody in the room, what strain do you think is the best, which sativa for ADHD?
Durban Thai is my go-to. It's amazing. It's the best strain, like I said, for, it gives me that ability to focus and to get things done. I'm one of those people that, because of my ADHD, I tend to procrastinate because I need that like last 10 seconds to get it done, focus on getting it done. But with the Durban Thai, it like gives me the motivation to want to kind of start it earlier, to want to get it done, and then also gives me the ability and the focus to still concentrate on it and get it done.
Now, what about on the flip side of that with like trying to sleep?
So that kind of the nice thing about inhalation products is because they stay so, like, for example, you know, when I was taking Adderall for my ADHD, if I took Adderall any time after 12 o'clock, I wouldn't sleep that night because we all know how Adderall is. But with, you know, medical marijuana and treating my ADHD with that, I can switch, you know, I'll take my Durban Thai or I'll use my Durban Thai, you know, throughout the day, but then when I get home in the afternoon, I'll maybe switch to a hybrid or something like that. So it's nice because it's not having like those lasting effects in your body, like the medication that I was taking previously was.
Interesting, because I've self-diagnosed myself with ADHD, and I'm kind of going through the process of really figuring out what the deal is. And I tried the high THC, I think it's the cheddar, and it turned me into a chatty Cathy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, this is not going to let me sleep at all.
Well, and that's kind of the interesting thing too, is because there are definitely people, and this was myself included before I actually recently put on a different medication, but I was having the opposite effects as well. I was having some of the indica strains were giving me energy and, like you said, kind of that chatty Cathy, couldn't focus kind of feeling, and sativas were doing the opposite. So for me, I recently went on a new medication and that kind of made things right again in my ADHD world, but it's also, you know, it's going to be trial and error for you too. Maybe I would definitely say try a different indica strain, maybe like Wampa or something like that, just because Cheddar still does have some of those mind-stimulating properties, so maybe you need one of those true couch lock indicas.
Good to know.
anything else?
I think I missed a little bit in the beginning about, like, how to get a medical marijuana card. Like, how, like,
Yeah,
just have to, like,
so
go to the doctor.
the first thing I mainly suggested is, because of the new laws that recently changed, or not necessarily laws, but regulations, the state did finally make it a little bit easier on practitioners as well as patients to get certified. So we're seeing a lot more local practitioners. So I would say definitely start by talking to your primary about it. My primary, like I was saying, started doing it about a year ago, and they don't necessarily like advertise it on the front door that they do it, but they do it. So talk to your primary. If they kind of don't have any recommendations or don't really send you anywhere, I would say the quickest way is online. There's a couple online options. My mom, I use, it was a website called NUGMD. It's NUGGMD. That was really great because they set her up with a doctor in 20 minutes, and she had her paperwork, I think, within 24 hours, and I had her card that same day, and we were getting her product, which was really nice because at the time, it was right after she had gotten into a really bad automobile accident, so I couldn't really get her out and to a doctor's appointment or anything like that. So it was really convenient to have that option.
Okay, so not all doctors' offices are hit with this yet.
Not all do, but the state did just make it so that any prescribing doctor can if they choose to.
Okay, thanks.
But definitely shop around, because like I said, the big thing is like the price point. When I first got certified, I paid $190 to get certified, and that's each year you have to get recertified. I just recently got recertified, and I only paid my copay, which was nice, which was $30. So definitely kind of shop around and do your research a little bit.
My husband Scott has a question.
I'm off camera, but
Okay.
for somebody who's never smoked pot before, what would you recommend?
I would honestly, we always tell people to go low and slow with things. And depending on what you're looking to treat is really kind of what we would steer you towards. But our equal CBD THC ratios, I think, are where we kind of send a lot of people to start, just because they're gonna kind of see the added benefits of adding THC into the mix, but not necessarily get that high effect from it.
Thank you.
I think that everybody's asked their questions.
Oh, I know, I have one. If you have a medical marijuana card, does it go on your driver's license? Is there some kind of?
It doesn't go on your driver's license, they are all linked through the state system. So once you go on to register your medical card, you actually do put your driver's license number in, because it links you to the New York State system that way. One of the questions we get a lot are, medical marijuana cards and pistol permits or concealed carry permits. That's a little bit of a gray area because the state doesn't really have a system to kind of recognize both or see both yet. I know that, like in my situation, I got my pistol permit before I got my medical marijuana card.
That's right.
So I haven't had any issues with it, but that's still kind of a gray area because it doesn't link to your use, like your DMV account.
Okay, so if you have medical marijuana, you can't buy a gun. If you have a card, you can't purchase a gun. Is that how that goes?
Not in New York State yet. So like if you go out west to a adult use facility, they scan your license.
Okay.
If you come back to New York and try to get your pistol permit, they'll deny it. So the two systems in New York State don't communicate. We're in like a good spot right now. Cause like I'm her caregiver, I have my pistol permit, she has a pistol permit, she is an actual patient. Like nothing is overlapping right now, so we're in the clear. With adult use, that might change. Hard to say.
Okay, just just curious, I knew there was some place where if you have a card, it affects.
Out west, they'll revoke your pistol permit. Yeah.
If you get, yeah, I thought there was something,
Yeah.
but in New York State, they.
And that's where I think it's kind of a gray area for me, because like I said, I got my pistol permit before I got my medical card, so really, back then, when I answered the question of, do I use any controlled substances, I wasn't lying, and now I actually recently had to renew my pistol permit, and that process, they didn't like flag anything or like revoke it or anything, so that was a little bit reassuring.
Okay, thank you.
There's what, like a bunch of high people carrying guns like.
Listen, you can go, this is so you can go pick up your oxycodone prescription and a 6-pack of beer and go shoot your pistol.
Yeah,
No
but-
concern whatsoever.
Right.
But God forbid, you use your vaporizer to alleviate the pain and then go shoot your gun.
That just doesn't make
It
sense.
kills them.
But now that our government.
It also doesn't make sense because people who use THC are usually just happy, so I don't know.
Unless you're getting that sativa that's making you paranoid.
Oh, that's true. Pot smoker, you.
Try to lock it up.
I've never seen a violent pot smoker.
Never.
Maybe you should might just go to McDonald's.
They everything.
Destroy that cake.
Yeah, right? Alrighty. Good?
Yeah.
Hey, Patty,
Patty.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was great.
We'll see ya.
Yeah, no problem. Also, so if any of you guys do go through the process of getting certified, and like I said, the online state system is nobody's friend ever. So if you guys run into any issues with actually getting your card, just give us a call or stop down, right here in Half Moon. And any one of us can help you out with that process. We've done it a million times now, so we're a little bit more savvy to the loopholes that they make you jump through sometimes. So don't be afraid, don't let that hold you up from getting your card or anything.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, no problem. You guys have a great day.
Quick question. Do you drink coffee?
I do.
Do you like dark or light?
I tend to like darker coffee.
Okay, I'm gonna send some coffee with Katie for you. Ground or whole bean?
Brown, please.
All right, I'll send some in to say thank you for you taking your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Have a great Saturday.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.